Hello and welcome back to the Panther Pride Network. My name is Emery Russell and we are here with Miss Angela Davis, Dean for Student Leadership and Engagement, and today we're going to be talking about career services. Firstly, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Philander?
So this is not my first time working at Philander. I actually started my career in student affairs 10 years ago here. I started in the Office of Religious Life with Reverend Yao. And then I was introduced to career services, which actually developed my love for career services. Life kind of took me out of state. I went to live in Philadelphia for a few years, lived in Texas for a few years. So when the opportunity presented itself to come back home, which Little Rock is my home, I was elated just to get the opportunity to come back, and that's kind of what brought me back here.
Okay, that is really cool. As you become acquainted with your new role, how do you envision the future for career services?
Career services has really changed a lot, even when I started 10 years ago. If I can age myself, when I was in undergrad 20 years ago, you went to school for a particular major. You went to school for a job that will give you longevity, education. You should become a teacher or a nurse was what my dad kind of instilled in me. You get a job for stability. And I feel that now, what I love about the generation now is that they're making their passions work for them. You have more students that are into doing things that actually make them happy versus doing something just because I have to get a degree and I need to work. I feel that a lot of students end up leaving college feeling like they didn't utilize their degrees, and then they come back and have to start over 10, 20 years later. So I am hoping that working back in career services here, I can have those conversations early on about pursuing your passions, pursuing what it is that you're really interested in, and actually giving some more life skills outside of just resume building and interview prep. That's really important, but I also need to have those conversations of what to expect out of this degree, what to expect in the career field. I feel that education prepares the student for the degree, but my job in career services is to prepare you for life with that career.
Yeah, right. Well, going off of that, there's a career fair coming up. Could you tell us a little bit about the career fair and how events like this are important for students' growth?
So the career fair is coming up. It's April the 12th. Career fairs are important even if you don't know where you want to work specifically or you don't feel that you are ready to start looking for a job now. Networking is really important. I think we lose a lot being on social media sometimes of not really having one-on-one conversations, but I can't tell you how many times a student has been able to interact with an employer and they remember that person or they build that relationship that they're able to go back and talk to that employer and potentially have opportunities presented to them just through the networking. So I think that just being able to kind of have those conversations. You don't know if internships will be offered to you, careers will be offered to you. Maybe there's someone else that you know that is looking for a job, and while that job may not be for you, you can introduce someone else to that employer that is looking for a job. So I feel that attending the career fair is important to get those conversation skills up, being able to brand yourself and talk to these companies and let them know who you are. You want to work for them, but they need to know that I am the person that you need. So I think that the career fair is important in the sense of just being able to go out and get that conversation started and building those relationships that will last beyond just that moment.
Yeah, well, you basically just gave us a lot of tips, but do you have any more tips that you would give to students in regard to career services or anything like that?
Yes, I think sometimes students wait to come to career services when they become a senior thinking, oh, this is the time that I need it. But I really believe those conversations need to happen in the beginning. One, what are you really here for? What is it that you are getting your degree in? Do you really want to pursue that degree? Is it something that you're gifted at? Some students, you wouldn't believe how many students I've run across in the last 10 years that are pursuing a degree because their parents want them to, and it's something that they're not interested in. So I want to have those conversations in the beginning. Let's talk about that. What is it that you want to do? Let's do some assessments. Let's really try to figure these things out. Start with the end in mind, and then that way you work backwards. School is too expensive to kind of change your majors a lot like we used to back in the day. So just kind of Come in early. Don't wait till you're a senior. Come in the beginning because there are so many more skills that are offered just than, like I said, resume building and interview prep. There's so much more to career services than just waiting until the end. So I think it's more useful for students if they come in the beginning, they'll get more out of career services. So I think that's probably some tips that I would give.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you've given us, all the tips that you've shared. Once again, this is Miss Angela Davis, Dean for Student Leadership and Engagement, and my name is Emery Russell, and we will be right back with more Panther Pride Network.